And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service and Alaska region on this Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. And here in the Alaska weather-related headlines, we have some positive news if you're looking for warm summer weather. Weak area of low pressure weakening over the Gulf over the midweek period. There's going to be an easterly wave kind of push out of British Columbia up along the inner and northern part of the Panhandle by Thursday, so that'll bring some additional showers. Otherwise, a ridge of high pressure at the surface, mid and upper levels will be building across the across the mainland, bringing much warmer temperatures starting this midweek into the weekend. In fact, areas of the interior are going to see temperatures warm in the 70s and 80s. South central areas will see temperatures in the 60s and some 70s. So it's going to be the warmest weather we've seen so far this early summer season. This is also going to lead to warming temperatures up along the north slope. So there'll be rapid snowmelt there with rising water levels on those rivers of the north slope, especially such as the Kuparic and Sag rivers. Then further west, there's going to be mainly a moist southerly flow of air from out of the North Pacific across the Bering Sea that would include the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, and areas of the west coast. So it's going to stay a bit cooler there with some occasional periods of rain or rain showers. Now, looking in the far north, Dead Horse, mostly sunny, 48 degrees. Those temperatures are going to continue to warm across the north slope. Nome, light rain and fog with that southerly flow there out over the Bering, keeping low stratus and fog and some periods of rain. Will be ongoing now through the weekend, and temperature there only 43. Talkeetna, partly sunny, 62. You're going to see temperatures there in the Susitna Valley rising above 70. The normally warmer spots such as Wasilla, Willow on up toward Talkeetna will be getting up into the 70s here by maybe as early as Thursday afternoon, but certainly Friday and Saturday. And then out toward the Panhandle, Gustavus, mostly cloudy this Tuesday afternoon, 55. You're going to see an easterly wave come in from the east, and that's going to enhance some showers by Thursday. But I think Wednesday will be a little drier day, relatively quiet, even though we still have that weakening area, low pressure out over the Gulf. That's not going to have a lot of impact for areas inland from the Gulf Coast. So the only thing of note, we have a special weather statement here for areas of the interior. This includes north of the Alaska Range, Fairbanks, the Tanana Valley, Lake Minchumina, on up to the Yukon Flats. This area here, we'll see temperatures in the 70s and even 80s as we go through this weekend, and even maybe lingering into early next week. But certainly as we go from now Wednesday through Sunday, much warmer temperatures are going to be taking shape here across the central and east central interior. So get ready for some much warmer weather, and of course the mosquitoes and biting flies, because that's going to really get those critters going as well. But the other concern with these rapid warming temperatures here along the Brooks Range and North Slope coming up the rest of this week and into the weekend, that's going to allow for these remaining North Slope rivers to break up. And there's a lot of snowpack still here in the Brooks Range and on this northern, or I should say this portion of the North Slope. So it's going to allow for quite a bit of runoff. So expect water levels to come up on the Sag River, the Kuparic, as a result of this runoff, especially through the course of this weekend. Have to watch out for any potential erosion there along the Dalton Highway, like what happened a couple years ago. But at this point, just be ready for things to be melting off quicker. Also, with the warming temperatures, that's going to increase the fire danger midweek into the weekend. So be very careful if you be out recreating or doing any type of work that could throw a spark, because again, the grass is the greatest, fastest carrier of fire early in the fire season, and we find a large area of high to very high fire danger south of the Brooks Range, north of the Alaska Range, up there along the upper Kuskokwim, as well as through a good portion of the Tanana and the middle upper Yukon rivers. And satellite imagery shows here's this area of low pressure over the Gulf, some moisture still up here along the Panhandle, a few showers, even some cloud cover lingering up here up along the Alaska Range. Back to the west, these are lower clouds, and we just have a moist pattern, southerly flow of air coming up out of the North Pacific with a little warmer air. So Doesn't take much. That tends to produce areas of low clouds, fog, and then areas of rain and showers. So we have one trough later tonight, early on Wednesday, pushing up along the west coast, the YK deltas. A little stronger, but these are weak lows compared to what we were seeing even a couple weeks ago out there in the Bering. So just think of this region as more where low pressure is going to reside. We still have a weakening low here, but pretty high center at 1020 over the central Gulf. And then there's a thermal trough that sits here along western Canada. And for Wednesday afternoon, we still have weak circulation and some showers around that in the lower Gulf, whereas the thermal trough sits back here across western Canada. I think maybe a little drier day through the Panhandle. And then out here, the building ridge of high pressure, we have not just at the surface, but there's a mid and upper level ridge that's going to be building across this region from south to north. So south central areas are going to be warming up with more sunshine after a rainy start to the week. And same thing here, the interior, we'll see temperatures warm quite a bit. Meanwhile, low pressure sits and spins out there way out toward the west-southwest Bering. For Thursday, that low continues out there. This occluded front just ahead of it, southerly flow transports that mild, moist air northward, but the Bering Sea is still relatively cold at this time of year, so that keeps low cloudiness, fog, along with some areas of rain and rain showers going. Meanwhile, interior is going to be warming up significantly. 60s, 70s, could see your first 80-degree, isolated 80-degree reading here in the central eastern interior, and more likely Friday into the weekend. Meanwhile, here comes this easterly wave pulling back from east to west from western Canada, and there's that little area of low pressure, quite weak. But again, these two features could enhance some showers, especially over the northern half of the Panhandle on Thursday. And for Friday, that area of low pressure kind of sinks back down a little further south off of the Panhandle and Haida Gwaii, but then still some lingering showers in parts of especially the northern Panhandle. Meanwhile, as temperatures warm here through the interior, this low pressure, more of a heat low in response to temperatures getting in the 70s, even some lower 80s by there Friday. So low temperatures Wednesday morning could dip down near freezing in through the Brooks Range in some spots. We have lows generally, though, staying above 40 in many areas of the state, and then daytime highs. Warmest readings are going to be here through the middle upper Yukon, lower, maybe some mid 70s. We're going to get some readings into the 60s. Anchorage Bowl could be up near 70, 69 there at Talkeetna. Back through the Panhandle, readings confined to anywhere from the mid 50s to lower 60s along the west coast. At least not as cold as it was a week or two ago. We're going to get readings finally into the 40s, Seward Peninsula, around 40 there, Savunga and Gamble. Thursday morning lows, again, few spots could be down near freezing, North Slope. But aside from that, readings generally now staying above. We're only, let's see, what day is it? Yeah, 10 days away from the solstice. So temperatures overnight lows generally above 40, and then we start to see these 70s becoming more widespread throughout the central eastern interior, and again starting to approach 80 degrees up through here. Could happen. There could be an isolated 80-degree reading come Thursday afternoon. 72 Talkeetna, 65, 68 in the Anchorage Bowl. Looking at 55 to 60 here for the Panhandle, and of course trailing out along the Alaska Peninsula. You could see a 60 at Kodiak City. 50s generally in the lower mid 50s at best, Alaska Peninsula into the eastern Aleutians. But here is the turnaround, because remember, we started out the month on a cool and wet note, especially southern areas of the state and along the Gulf Coast Panhandle. At least we're going to get into some of this warming mid-month up to the summer solstice, which happens this year on June 20th. We are looking at the likelihood of above normal temperatures, a high probability across areas of the interior and along the Brooks Range, North Slope, Arctic coast, and maybe a bit below normal along the northeastern Gulf Coast into the Panhandle. That would signal some cloud cover and some showers. But certainly this area here, get ridging that goes up into that portion of the mainland. It'll lend toward warmer temperatures. Now, there's no solid area that's going to likely be the focus of above normal precipitation, but there's the potential for a broad area of the mainland and along the Gulf Coast, including the Alaska Peninsula and the Panhandle, that we could see Precipitation average a bit above normal for this time of year. Certainly this time of year it tends to be more showery, and with the heating that could occur in the interior, we'd also expect some isolated to scattered thunderstorms. But that's the way things are shaping up, at least here heading through the mid-month, approaching the solstice on June 20th. One thing for certain, this midweek into next week will be considerably warmer over this region compared to what we've been experiencing here much of the entire spring.